This is my car, and it's the first car I ever wrapped. But here's 5 things I wish I knew before I even wrapped it. So when I purchased this car, it had some damage, clear coat peeling, some scratches, paint was a little faded, and I thought I'll just go to a body shop and see how much they'll charge me to repaint it. So I went to a shop, and this is like 7 years ago, but they said just to do the rear, like quarter panel, it would be like $1,500, or maybe the rear half of the car, I don't remember. But my reaction was like $1,500, and I don't even know if that's a good price, but I didn't have money at that time. No money to spend on anything. So I was like, yeah, no, there's no way. So in my head, I'm thinking, what else can I do? Is there any other way that I can kind of make my car look better than it is, get rid of these blemishes, and find vinyl wrapping? Okay, so let's see. I could find a roll. I got a roll from Vivid. It was about, I don't know, it was cheap back then, maybe $500. And I'm like, okay, $500 for a roll. I could teach myself how to do this. It shouldn't be that bad. Well, mistake number 1. I wish I understood the difference between cheap vinyl and expensive vinyl. Now, I've talked about this before. As far as cheap vinyl goes, Vivid's really not that bad. For its price point, it's okay. It's not that bad at all. Avery and 3M, they're like double. But I've mentioned this a bunch of times. Vinyl Frog and those brands are like the same price as the premium 3M, Avery, KPMF. And yeah, stay away from that. But as far as Vivid's price point and what it is, it wasn't bad. So I started wrapping, and yeah, it was okay. It struggled quite a bit, but I got it done. And I didn't think much of it. It's just like, okay, I guess vinyl wrapping is difficult, but I'll learn as I go. Well, that was my entry into the vinyl wrap world. And then I started using the premium brands on customers' cars, families' cars, friends' cars, stuff like that. And then it was like, okay, there is a huge difference here. So if you're considering buying a cheap vinyl just because you don't have money, you don't want to spend on that premium brand, I would say don't do it. Pay more. I know up front it's going to suck, but the ease of the install, the peace of mind you'll have, how much more enjoyable it is, please pick one of those premium cast films. I talk about this in all my videos, but 3M, Avery, KPMF, you'll like them a lot. Okay, second thing I wish I knew, and I learned this very quickly while I was wrapping, but you need to understand the importance of post-heating and also heating after stretching areas to shrink the vinyl back. So the perfect example is mirrors. If you heat up the mirror or heat up the vinyl to stretch around the mirror, and then you don't heat the vinyl again to shrink it back, that's going to fail on you. So first, after a big stretch, you need to heat up the vinyl again to shrink it back, see how it's moving to make sure everything's going to hold properly. And then after that, after you kiss it with some heat, then you need to go back and post-heat everything just to make sure the vinyl loses that memory and doesn't continue to shrink. So I didn't really understand that. I thought, after you stretch, you just give it a bit of heat. You'll see how it's moving. Okay, it's fine. But no, you really need to blast it with heat just to be confident that it's not going to shrink and it's not going to peel up on you. Third thing I wish I knew. I wish I understood the importance of a sharp blade. I know it sounds so simple, but you see videos of professionals, cutting on the paint, and you're thinking, that looks risky. Are they scratching my paint? I don't understand. I might be nervous doing that. If I have to wrap a car, I don't want to damage anyone's paint. But the way you don't damage anyone's paint is to have an incredibly sharp blade. Might be counterintuitive. You might be thinking, won't a sharp blade damage the paint more? The short answer is no, because the sharper the blade, the less pressure you need to cut the vinyl. So if you have a really sharp blade, you can barely put it on the surface, just scoring the surface of the vinyl. And then once you're done with your cut, the vinyl will peel up right away, no problem. If you have a dull blade, you need to press onto the vinyl to cut it. And that's when you're pressing down, you're adding that pressure, you're more than likely going to scratch the paint, damage someone's paint. So even changing out, like snapping off a new blade every other panel, you really just want the blade to glide right through when you're cutting it, and it makes the job so much easier. Number 4, understanding what kind of paint you're going to be wrapping. Is it OEM? Has it been repainted? Is there a ceramic coating on it? When I started this, it was just like, okay, car paint is car paint, and it's not bubbling or rusting, so it must be okay. No, I learned that out the hard way. When I took off my first wrap, the Vivid, when I took it off the Genesis, it was destroyed on the side that was repainted. So everything else was fine. Again, I'm not trying to fearmonger about vinyl wrap and it's going to damage your paint. The rest of the car was fine. Everything that was original paint was perfectly fine. But the areas that had been repainted, it pulled up the paint in some areas. And then you had to go back and sand it, and it was incredibly frustrating. But I thought, if the paint is in good condition, meaning it's not bubbling or rusting or the clear coat's not peeling off, then it'll be okay. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. If you're wrapping someone's car, if you're wrapping your own car, and that it's not OEM paint, it's not original paint, I would be a little bit skeptical of how well this wrap's going to turn out. And the most worrying part is the removal. How is the removal going to be? Last one, number 5, speaking of wrap removal, I wish I knew how easy it is to remove a vinyl wrap when it's outside baking in the sun. First wrap I removed, just grabbed a heat gun, pulled it in the garage, and heat up the panel, pull a bit, heat up, pull, continue that. And it's annoying, but you can get it done. When you have your car out in the sun and you need to remove a wrap, it pulls off like a dream, assuming it's not a 10-year-old wrap, right? It comes off so easily. The heat, the sun, having the vinyl, like every part of it heated instead of just the small area you're using with the heat gun, it makes such a difference. Like, it's so extreme that when I was using a heat gun to remove a wrap, it could take, a couple hours. When you're doing it out in the sun, it could take 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Not only is it faster, it's easier, and then your fingers don't get destroyed. It just makes the process so much better. That's it. Those are the 5 things I wish I knew before I wrapped my own car. Hopefully this information helps you. You can learn from my mistakes instead of having to go through it yourself. And like always, if you have any questions, please ask in the comments, and thanks for watching.